Normally, Brad Law leads us off with some witty banter or something super, super clever, then tease it up to me. That is not what's going to happen today because we don't know where Brad Law is. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby. Thank you for checking out Village Vice and Taylor Korn of the next round, hanging out with us on this latest edition of Village Vice. If you had to guess, wrong answers only, where do you think Brad Law is right now?
Chasing the kangaroo.
I think that's it.
He has to be.
It. And shout out to Auburn punter, Australian Hudson Cockabee, making the joke about it that it's on him, that he left his gate open, and that's why the kangaroo is jumping around Auburn. Incredible stuff. Incredible.
He might be one of my favorite off-season additions, personality-wise. His conversation with you shortly after he committed, very entertaining. Great social media presence. I'm a fan.
No, I'm glad he added the trick shot thing. And it looks like he's got one up with, it looked like Jackson Arnold. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw them post that. So that's exciting.
And I credit that to you, because didn't you encourage him to continue doing that at Auburn?
I mean, I don't know if I deserve the credit, but he did mention, like, I don't know if we'll do that at Auburn or not. I don't know if people will like it. I'm like, no, I think the Auburn fan base would be all about it. We love that stuff. We love it. And yeah, I mean, it seems like people love him already, which I think he's going to be a really good punter for sure. For sure. So a lot of reports coming out, predictions, like the expectation is for Auburn to land another quarterback. That's exciting. That's exciting, right?
It is. And it's something that Hugh Freeze has voiced that he wants. But at this point, who's going to offer themselves up to that? Because you have Jackson Arnold, you have Deuce Knight, you have Ashton Daniels. So you're basically signing up to be a support guy. You know, you're gonna help the team get better in practice, but you can't expect to see the field much. And I'm happy that it happened. You know, it's better that we have him than we don't, or are expected to.
Yeah.
But it's a little surprising in the sense that there aren't many guys, especially in today's day and age, that are gonna voluntarily put themselves in this position. But I see it as such a bonus, because you have to imagine that he's selfless, that he's a team player. He's there, he's gonna do whatever he wants to do to help the team win.
Sure.
And that's great for culture, great for locker room.
Yeah, and who we're talking about is Matthew Caldwell. Was at Troy this past year, started 6 games for Troy, I believe, played in 10, I think. Was at Garner-Webb the 2 previous years, then his freshman year. He started his college career at Jack State, where he was redshirted. He did not play in his 4 games his freshman year, true freshman year. So a guy with experience. And, you talk about the team guy, like, you have to, if you're Hugh Freeze, there's a lot of things, because it's a unique situation. It's a tricky pitch. You don't add a guy that's not a team dude in this role, that's just going to essentially be brought on to be a practice guy and a guy that's valuable in meetings. And so this Matthew Caldwell guy, an Auburn High alum, Auburn High School standout. So, there's a few things of this. Brad and I talk about this all the time. Like, there's a million reasons why somebody may want to enter the portal. Does he want to come home? Does he, which, I mean, Troy's not that far away, as we all know. Is there some sort of just desire to say, hey, I'm an SEC quarterback? Is there some sort of like pitch of, hey, you can stay on staff as a GA when you're done? Only time will tell. But the addition is great, Taylor. I mean, I don't see any downside to this at all.
Absolutely not. And I think that this kid's probably the perfect match because of what you just said. He's from Auburn, and I can't imagine not wanting to play at Auburn. I mean, that's probably a childhood dream of a kid that grew up playing, little league football, high school football in Auburn, Alabama. That's probably a dream come true, whether you see the field a ton or not. To be a part of the locker room, a part of the roster, that's just got to be a cool feeling in general.
Yeah. So Matthew Caldwell expected to join as we record this Tuesday night. I don't believe it's official. At least it's not public, but there are several reports saying, hey, we're expecting Matthew Caldwell to be an Auburn Tiger, which is very, very exciting. So Auburn has kind of generated a little bit of offseason buzz this week, Taylor. We'll jump into that in just a second right here on Village Vice. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Rhoback.com. Y'all may have turned this video on and say, wow, Taylor's sporting Rhoback. I mean, look at that Auburn officially licensed Rhoback gear. RHOBACK.com. We don't want you to pay full price. Promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order. And they've got all sorts of collared shirts and quarter zips and the performance hoodies. And then they've got officially licensed Auburn stuff as well, as Taylor is showing off right now. Rhoback.com. Use promo code VICE20 for 20% off. You endorse it? It looks comfortable.
I endorse it. My favorite sweatshirt.
There you go. Get you on Rhoback.com. Promo code VICE20 for 20% off. Did you see Auburn ranked 13th in Andy Staples' top 25, way too early top 25 list? What are you're nodding. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm cautiously optimistic heading into the season, and I think that's partially to protect myself.
No, you got to be ready to get hurt again. That's what this is about.
But when you look at it, I mean, you have every reason to be optimistic. I obviously am paying attention to the movement that we've seen in terms of Auburn's roster over the offseason than I am. I'm a lot more familiar with that than I am the other Division I football school or football teams. But I think that we have every reason to feel like this season should go better than last. But this is something that I've heard you talk about a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a better team on the field, a better roster than past opponents, and ended up losing games.
Sure.
For a multitude of reasons. I don't think that there's a common denominator that is, you can point to in terms of those losses that are kind of head scratching.
What do you think? I know you said that you don't think there is a common denominator, but what do you think the most likely thing is? Is it quarterback play? Was it play calling? Was it just overall culture and just kind of forgetting how to win as a program? I mean, what do you think the most common thing is?
I think there's a number of things that I felt like were repeating themselves. I think special teams being healthier will help.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, quarterback play, it's hard not to say quarterback. What will Jackson Arnold give us this season? Time will tell.
Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Peyton Thorne, by the way.
Yeah. I know. Congratulations to Peyton. Great guy. Congratulations.
Yeah. Watch out, Joe Burrow. Peyton Thorne is coming.
Watch out, Joe Burrow. And then I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
Last season, did you feel like a style of play was, I don't know if being forced on personnel is the right way to put it, but do you think play calling scheme was being adjusted in terms of the strength of the personnel on your roster? Or do you think it was, I've had success doing this in the past, so let's try and make it work, even though I might not necessarily have the exact personnel that I would like to run this offense?
Yeah, I think that's a tricky question because I think it changed so much. And of course, we all say, like, well, I wish Jarquez Hunter would have ran the ball more. Like, we're all kind of on the same boat there. But to me, like, I thought what Auburn did between the 20s, take out the turnovers. I mean, obviously the turnovers were bad. But a lot of what they did between the 20s and like on first and second down, like, I didn't hate it. And like statistically, like Auburn was fine. But it was just in the money downs, third down, fourth down, and then in the red zone, like I think we did a lot of weird stuff. And to me, I think it's on coaching. And like I don't think that's changed from last year to this year. Now they can change their approach, and maybe they feel more confident with certain parts of what the offense is with the different personnel. But I do think we got way too cute in moments where we needed to show like a higher level of composure, and it just never happened. So I think that's a good question. And I think it varies on like what chunk of game and what chunk of, the drive even we want to kind of look at.
And I do agree, culture, when you brought up culture, I do think there was a sense of trying not to lose again instead of
Yes.
trying to win the game. And I think that that's something that over time, hopefully you'll see change. And a lot of the guys that were freshmen last year that played a big role will have a year of
Right.
experience this year. And I think that from what I've seen, a lot of those younger guys that we all expect to play a large, large role this season, both offensively and defensively, have
Yeah.
that mentality.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And we've talked about this at times, but there were discussions, we'll say discussions, heated discussions in the locker room after losses between some guys who ran out of eligibility, aren't on the team anymore, and some of these younger guys, where the younger guys were ticked off of like, why don't you care? Like, we just got our teeth kicked in. Why don't you care? Why are you laughing? Why are you so eager to kind of do your, post-game plans and all that? Like, it should embarrass you that you guys have been losing for forever. I'm paraphrasing that very nicely. But that was a common theme. These young guys hated losing. They're not used to it. They're not used to it, and they don't want to get used to it. And I think there's been a lot of guys that were talented, signed with NFL teams over the weekend, but they were used to losing. And it's not their fault entirely. Like, I think it's a lot of things that have gotten Auburn to this point, but we got to get Auburn out of this point now. And these young guys, that have been so vocal and back it up on the field. I mean, Caleb Harris comes to mind, Jay Crawford, Kayan Lee, Keldrick Falk, Connor Liu. I mean, there's so many of these young guys that are ready to change the culture. I think they've been fighting to change it. And I do think that's part of it. Like, you talked about like playing not to lose at certain points. Auburn had opportunities to put the game out of reach against Missouri. They didn't do it. Was that special teams? Sure. Was it not converting on third downs? Was it not getting stops on third down? All of it applicable. But then on the other side of it, they tried to put Oklahoma away and it resulted in a pick six. And it's just like, you got a quarterback that you got to know, just hand the ball off in that situation. And so just learning how to win is something that Auburn clearly, I mean, we joked about it a ton, but like they kept finding different ways to lose. And like, can that keep going for multiple years? Goodness, I hope not. I hope not.
And one thing that I think everyone should give everyone that wants to see Auburn succeed confidence is the roster retention. There are a number of guys that could have probably made a large sum of money to enter the transfer portal, play elsewhere, and they're talented. They're elite talent. Hugh Freeze has brought in elite talent, and they stayed. So they obviously trust this coaching staff. They trust the vision, and they trust where the program is headed. They know better than any of us outside the building what's going on, what the mindset is, what, the vibe inside the facilities are.
Right.
And I think that should be encouraging to the audience, to the fan base, because if the floodgates opened and all of this elite talent that we were, so happy about said, I don't know about this, then I think that different questions start to be asked. But they believe in themselves, and they know how to win. Because like you said, they're not used to this. They're not used to losing these games. They're used to dominating, wherever they played, whatever respective high school they played at.
Right.
And they feel, and in my mind, the way that I perceive that is they feel like they can do that at Auburn. They feel like they can reach the level of success that they want to reach at Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I think that's certainly the case. So, what's that next step? It's you got to go and do it. And the schedule, I think, is the most manageable schedule I've seen at Auburn in a long time. And my time covering the team on paper, and we'll see what happens with some of these squads, but on paper, this is the most manageable schedule since I've been covering the team. So we'll see if that turns into some more wins. I mean, this is definitely a prove it year, and I think it lines up super well for Hugh Freeze, because then if it doesn't work this year, there's a big chunk of the Auburn fan base that almost wants to see Hugh Freeze fail, which I don't fully get. But it's like, if you don't do it this year, then obviously there's big questions. But I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be able to pull it all together because of the talent, because of the step in the right direction with quarterback play. I mean, I think they've got a top 3 receiver room in the SEC. I think they've got a top 4 or 5 offensive line in the SEC. I think their DB room is top 2 or 3. In some cases, I've said they were the best. I think their corners are exceptional. I mean, they're really good in key areas. And I think from a pass rushing standpoint, with Keldrick and Amaris and Keyron, I mean, I think they've got an elite pass rushing room too. So in the positions that you want to be good at, Auburn on paper is where you need them to be.
I agree. And I think the first game of the season is going to tell us a lot, because I think that could either be a massive confidence booster. You're not playing a cupcake game by any stretch of the imagination. And if you can go hit on the road week 1 and beat a competitive team, more competitive than teams that you've been playing in week 1 in the past, that should give this team a lot of confidence. And I think that, that is starting the season with a step in the right direction.
Yes.
And I think that game is very, very important.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, comment down below wrong answers only, because most of you know actually what Brad is doing right now, because you're probably listening to it. Wrong answers only. What is Bradlaw doing right now? Why could he not pod on Village Vice today? Let us know in the comments down below. Taylor, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
The Next Round. Follow Next Round Live on all of the social media platforms. And then we're live from 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. And then football season, who knows what we'll have going on. So
yep,
just
Taylor very active.
Yeah,
and Taylor, of course, very active in the barn, thebarnauburn.com. You can sign up today. Annual deal, you get $25 off of that annual package over at thebarnauburn.com. So go sign up today. All right. What does Brad say? Everyone has vices, but make sure Village Vice is one of yours.